So far in 2023, it's been another busy year for Tudor when it comes to new product releases. First, you had the 41mm Burgundy Black Bay, the Black Bay GMT Opaline dial, the Black Bay 54, and then also the Tudor Pelagos Fix Red Bull models. Yet among all of these headlining collections, there was another release that you could argue is getting overlooked by comparison, with the conventional Black Bay non-diver model seeing a significant upgrade. Before there was a GMT, the 58, the 54, and the Black Bay Pro, the Black Bay collection was first known for the original divers in 41mm, and then the Pelagos that were going to be relaunched as part of this new focus for the brand in select markets. Yet quickly to follow a few years later was another pillar that was established in 2016. Often associated with the name Black Bay 36 despite it being available in a variety of case sizes, this watch grew to represent perhaps the most versatile within Tudor's burgeoning collection. To add to its proposition, these watches were also available at a more approachable price compared to the manufacturer caliber powered dive watches that became available around the same period. For years, these watches were praised for being some of the best everyday buys for the price. Yet as the rest of the collection was filling out, the model family appeared to be getting neglected by comparison, falling behind in regards to its movement tech and then also with some of the improvements that we saw with bracelets across the wider Black Bay range. But finally in 2023, those that had been waiting on this update finally received their wish, debuting a full lineup of redesigned models measuring at 31, 36, 39, and 41mm with modified colors, a new bracelet, clasp, and small design updates while getting enhanced calibers within. For the sake of this video, we're going to be looking at one size particularly just for the overall review. We will talk about the broader collection, but we're going to be looking at the model commonly associated with this collection at 36mm, with this example specifically coming with that new shade of blue. Now, if you are interested in learning more about the Black Bay model family overall, I will link to 3 helpful resources down below. One being our comprehensive article looking at the entirety of the Black Bay collection and its history, and in addition, links to 2 videos. One being from last year's Tudor releases with their head of design, Andre Ugarte, and the other showcasing the new releases from 2023 and everything Tudor with Cole Pennington. Links to all of those will be in the description down below. In this video, really what I'm hoping to do is dive deeper into this specific model collection, but if you want more, check out those links in the description. Now, as previously stated, this collection was updated with many different case sizes, including 31, 36, 39, and 41mm. Now, beginning with some of the changes to the case, first we can take a look at the screw-down crown, emulating the style of their big brother brand, while moving away from the protruding tube that housed the crown stem in previous versions. In addition, the case structure across the board is relatively similar, with brushed front sides for the lugs and case flanks, with hits of polishing coming with the bezel and the outer hairline bevel casting the length of the case. The case sides are worthy of further note as they exhibit less of that 90-degree angle that we have come to see from others within the broader Black Bay collection, showcasing a slightly more rounded effect. For the final notable facelifts to the case, we shift attention to the bracelet, which now is being done in a 5-link variety. In other words that are not Tudor's words, a Jubilee style. The multi-link bracelet features polishing and brushing with screwed-in links, while still using arguably the best clasp in the business in this price segment, offering a fold-over locking clasp, ceramic pins for reducing wear and tear while unlocking over time and locking, all while enabling the wearer to harness the elite on-the-fly adjustment system that comes with T-Fit, simply by adding subtle pressure down to the non-fold over lock end of the clasp and then sliding back and forth to fine-tune for precise fitting when needed. One final point here, the center line of the clasp has more of a stepping compared to the brushed former clasp, which in this instance, despite looking more elevated, will be more prone to scratches, though inevitably this is going to be a reality for any clasp, so not a big point for me in my opinion, but just something to mention. Looking more specifically at the model that we have in hand, the case measures at 36mm in diameter, a thickness of 10.7mm, and a lug-to-lug of 44mm. Though on paper this watch is going to be rather small and more restrained in nature, I would say it wears slightly larger than its proposed diameter, though the other sizes should cover nearly every wrist out there. On its underside, a brand staple classic sterile and brushed screw-down case back pairs with the crown to achieve an adequate, and I would say above adequate, 100 meters of water resistance for an everyday watch. Returning to the dial side, we take take-up view of the fully polished bezel framing that meets the flat sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating giving way to the dial. So the primary dial colors in stainless steel cases are available in a champagne silver, an anthracite with gilt markers, and then the blue on display here. Now, compared to previous iterations, the blue dial presents a more sunray backdrop that will glisten more noticeably, yet is not done in an aggressive way to distract from the rest of the familiar layout. At its outer edge, a printed full minute track runs unobstructed with large applied polished indices, generously filled with lume marking the hours set just within. At its center, a lume snowflake hour hand and sharpened pencil minute hand conduct the time telling, while a sweeping lollipop second hand with its own lume glides over the text, pairing with the rest of the elements and shining exceptionally in the dark. Printed at 12 is the Tudor shield that rests above the Tudor Geneve, while the updated chronometer officially certified text is going to be at 6, helping to give us a sense of what's going on with that other significant change happening with this Black Bay collection with the movement on the inside. What might be the most significant upgrade comes from what is out of view for this watch, with the inclusion of the manufacturer caliber MT5400. In 2022, we saw the release of the S and G models of this line that came accompanied with Tudor's manufactured movements within, and that was a sign that perhaps more was to come in the future with rollouts. Now, this movement is a non-date version and seeing work in models such as the Tudor Pelagos 39mm and the Black Bay 58925, just to name a couple of examples. Now, boasting its chronometer certification, the caliber operates at 28,800 vibrations per hour or 4 Hz. It features hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position, and an impressive power reserve of 70 hours across the lineup, except on the 31mm version, where the power reserve is going to reach 50 hours. These are also COSC certified movements, so they are going to be confirmed to run accuracy within the parameters of -4 to +6 seconds per day, with the model here running well inside those specified numbers when testing across 5 different positions. This caliber also comes with a silicone balance spring along with a free sprung balance, which aids in its resistance against magnetic fields and the adverse effects of abrupt shocks. But now let's unpack these watches, give some concluding thoughts, some pros and cons, and ultimately I'll just share who I think this watch is ultimately for and what these watches are ultimately for. Now, the release schedule for Tudor this year was, to say the least, very, very busy. And at Watches and Wonders, when you're on the ground for all these new releases, you try to figure out what is the talk of the town, what are the big releases. And for Tudor, it seemed like the thing that was getting the most buzz was the Black Bay 54. And although I have a lot to say about that release and thought it was probably the most noteworthy and daring and really unexpected, sometimes what gets the headlines and what serves as the more viable watch for more people are two very different things. Now, case in point, I think, is here, as if you're looking to maximize your budget for under $4,000 and are looking for just one watch to do it all for you, and maybe aren't as interested in those dive watches from Tudor, I would argue this is perhaps the best positioned collection now to do that from Tudor. And you could also argue that if you are looking for that one watch, which I know is not the majority of you that I'm speaking to, but if you are looking for just one, you could say that this is probably the best positioned of any watch from Tudor, dive watches or not. Now let's discuss some of the challenges associated with this piece, and I think the first has to be the price increase that has happened here. Now, this is a byproduct of receiving the upgraded movement by over $500 in the retail price. Now, this isn't going to be as sizable as a jump compared to other brands that do this. Now, there aren't many brands, and there's not like necessarily a best practice when it comes to what do you position and off the shelf a Bosch caliber versus moving into your manufacturer movements. What is that price difference and what do you need to consider? However, $500 is still a good chunk of change. There's no question about that, and it can be a deciding factor for many people in being able to pull a watch like this off and making it happen for themselves. I think that has to be considered here because you're no longer getting those ETA-powered models. And another point of consideration here is just the small changes in the design and how this is going to have more of a dressed up appearance compared to the heritage design of the previous versions. For some, this can be a plus, but for others that enjoy the more raw feeling of that utilitarian approach, this could be a departure from that vintage feel that was felt from the more brushed surfaces to the smile greeting you at 6 o'clock on those previous variants. Now, I saw some people leaving comments when these were first announced saying that there was some element to the character lost in this redesign, which I won't go that far in saying that that's the case here, but you can definitely tell that this is more straight-laced in how it's being presented from a design standpoint, which in turn probably makes them more versatile as a byproduct. Now, shifting to the positives, this watch is now, I think, Tudor's best everyday watch offering, in my opinion, especially for those that already feel they are not in an adequate position to really pull off some of their dive watches, or maybe have also other dive watches within their collection that already are doing the job. We have a COSC certified movement with up spec, a lengthy power reserve, a solid 100 meters of water resistance, a variety of sizes and color options to choose from, a best-in-class bracelet with a clasp system that is simply phenomenal. Lume is also exceptional to go along with all these other points, and the design DNA is still there at its core, I think, and it's a design DNA that so many people love. So ultimately, who is this watch for? Well, I think the beauty of this watch is that it could be viable for many people given the approach. And that was one of the reasons why I think it's probably one of the most overlooked watches so far from Tudor this year, because you're looking at the 54, which I want to talk about at a later date, which I am planning to do so. It's a great watch, but it's also maybe not answering a very obvious void that was not being presented by Tudor. Yes, you have the Tudor Rangers, but I think so many people love the Black Bay design and the DNA. And there were just some of the elements of what it was doing in this arena that were maybe being neglected by comparison to what was going on with the 58, the 41 millimeter options, the GMT, and then also seeing new collections just sprout up out of nowhere. Where I see this watch really excelling is in that circumstance where you maybe are looking for your first luxury watch, or you are looking for a complementary watch that can be worn in those days when maybe you're just not sure what to wear and you want something that can just do it all, be suitable pretty much no matter what day and what the day is going to entail. In this instance, this is where this watch makes a ton of sense. And sure, it might not have the charm or the hype that you'll see with some of the Tudor dive watches, though that isn't why I think most people like you probably watch this channel or buy watches in general. It has to make sense for you and your lifestyle. And simply put, this watch, given its approach, should make sense for many of you. But all right, guys, that's my take looking at this new Tudor Black Bay collection. And it's not necessarily new. I don't really know even what to call these things. I just always call them the Tudor Black Bay non-diver family, Tudor Black Bay 36 specifically right here. But what is your take on these watches? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you think they are properly hyped or maybe overlooked by too many people out there? Love to see those comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon, really would appreciate that. Also check out TeddyBaldassarre.com, full authorized dealer of 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the products that we offer. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.